All right, so now we have the entire tasks. I reviewed them. This looks good enough PRD for me. We already have this small project that we have created. And also, if I quickly show you, here we are running inside this container and we have everything set up. I don't need these two files. I'm going to remove them. And what I will do next is very interesting because we want to use the software called Taskmaster. Taskmaster is an extra plugin that can be used both with Claude Code and with Cursor. Um, and the way that you can use it is very interesting. You can convert this, you can use it with MCP connections, and I already have an MCP setting with Claude Code and with not with Claude Code, with Cursor, and we can use that in here. So what I will do is I'll create a prd.txt in here, paste the entire PRD in here. For this particular one, I will use Cursor's UI because the cursor is connected through the MCP settings with Taskmaster. I will just prompt it like this. Can you please use this and create all the required tasks for this product requirement document using Taskmaster? So what I'm doing is right now, I'm using in a combination of Cursor, Claude Code, Taskmaster, all three of them combined. Once all the tasks are created in here, I will then use Claude Code in order to manage the tasks. So what it will do right now is it will use Taskmaster's interface to do all the initiations. And what I need to make sure I keep an eye on is if I go to that folder, the command is taskmaster list with subtasks. So right now, since there is no tasks generated, I see this list of errors. But as soon as the tasks are created with Taskmaster, then I should see the task initiation. But what I see is going wrong here is that since a week or two, Cursor also has this feature of tasks. It is prioritizing its own task management and not using Taskmaster. What I prefer and like about Taskmaster is that it creates not only this PRD, but it also creates certain cursor rule files, which helps a lot in generating this. Therefore, I'm going to prompt cursor one more time and say that don't use this, use the cursor MCP. Let me double check if the MCP of cursor is correctly done. So you need to go to Open MCP settings, and since I have done it before, apparently the MCP is down. So the cursor, the taskmaster MCP is down. Therefore, we need to do an init in here. Taskmaster init is the command, like initialize. When we run this, you can use all the default settings as it asks you for the default settings. And then you can see that it created all of these files, like the rule files in here from Cursor and so on and so forth. So this would have been done by us. It would take us forever to do this. And then the next steps we'll do is like literally create all of the PRDs and so on using that. So we'll move this PRD inside this folder called Taskmaster. And the MCP settings that we are going to do is inside this file. So since it contains credentials, I will do that off the recording. I will quickly commit this to GitHub. I'll say added taskmaster. Right after adding the MCP settings and also making sure that the MCP in here, the taskmaster MCP is running, then I will come back. This needs to go green. This is right now the overall MCP setting that is kind of like the global MCP setting. If you want to have like a local MCP setting, then you can have it from this folder. So this is how you set up MCP server after configuring the MCP settings. I'll come back with so there we go. This global setting that I had from before, it's working fine. Now if I don't have to restart my video because the global settings worked. Now if I ask the same question one more time from Sonnet, here, this one, if I enter it, this time it's not going to create the tasks from the task management tool of Cursor. It's going to create it using Taskmaster, and then it will generate all the tasks inside this folder as we saw it in the previous videos. And then we can use these tasks inside Claude Code to give Claude Code more context and in a place where Claude Code can manage its tasks. And right now, there we go. This particular UI is actually the way that Cursor is using the MCP interface of this, and then it's executing things inside Taskmaster. So this is now going on this YOLO mode, and then it's generating all the required tasks that I asked it. And as soon as that is created, then we can also execute this task. Sorry, that was the wrong one. This, again, Taskmaster list. This is what I am looking for. As soon as the tasks are generated, then we should see like everything in this area as a table of tasks. This is going on. I will just ask it to continue. The terminal execution of, or the YOLO mode of Cursor sometimes gets stuck, and this is important that we need to type continue so that it goes on to the next step. Okay, so this is going on. Apparently it is still ongoing. Meanwhile, I will explain the usage of these tools in a little bit more detail. So the way this works is like this. We have 3 AI agents or 3 setup together. So one is Taskmaster, and Taskmaster is literally this JavaScript library that has an MCP and a CLI that manages tasks inside a JSON file. That's it. And it takes Perplexity and Claude or Anthropic API keys. Then we have Cursor, and then we have Claude Code. So what we have done just now is use Cursor to explain that use Taskmaster and generate tasks. And then what we will do later on is that we will ask Cursor to use Claude Code in order to generate the code. And we will ask Claude Code to use the tasks from Taskmaster. So that's kind of like the overall structure of how we are going to put together all of these things together, all these 3 components together. So now it is generating the tasks. Let's quickly check it out. There we go. Now the overall structure is done. So the project task is done, but no tasks are generated yet. It's going to create the rest of the tasks. I'll just keep pushing Cursor to keep calling Taskmaster because this is done, but the actual tasks are not yet completed. There must be a lot of tasks in here based on the PRD that it has generated. It already created these individual tasks in here, but not the individual files in here, the txt files. If I quickly do this, it doesn't show anything, and I will literally take this screenshot to cursor so that cursor can understand what's the problem there. The tasks using Taskmaster is not properly generated because I cannot see the list of tasks in here. Can you please double check this and check the Taskmaster documentation and also from the following content how to do it. So the following content can come from the Taskmaster help file. Like literally, I can take all of these switches to provide some more context to cursor. There must be txt files in this folder. It's just that perhaps something didn't go properly. Yeah, it manually created the tasks.json. So the cursor sonnet hallucinated instead of like executing the MCP interface, although it had connection to MCP. It didn't use that. It just continued creating the JSON file by itself. So now it's gonna fix it, and hopefully we'll have all the tasks generated in here, and then we should see a list of tasks. The reason I prefer using Taskmaster is because then we have a very clear progress of our project in here, kind of like a small project management tool. And also we will have all of these tasks checked into Git. So we have like a place where we can save things. Okay, now what I will do is pause the video and then come back as soon as the task generation is completed. All right, so what is the problem here? That when the taskmaster is trying to execute this inside this container, I don't have taskmaster installed there. So literally, taskmaster is complaining that it's not installed. But I don't want taskmaster to be executed inside the container because taskmaster is okay, and I want it to be on my computer level. So if we go back to that diagram that we have drew here, so Claude Code is running inside this container. That's fine because when I run Claude from here, I want it to be in that container, but the taskmaster can run in here, like on this terminal. It's okay for me to run taskmaster on my computer terminal. So therefore, what I can do is open another one. So this is another VS Code, cursor. And this is another cursor. How you distinguish it from this div container. This cursor and this cursor, they both are opening the same file, but the only difference is if you open the terminal, you will see that this one is going to this directory, or this has direct access to this folder, but this one has indirect access. It has the access to this inside container thing, like this one. So this can stay here. I will close this, and this one can be used for anything related to cursor agent. So the cursor agent will need to use terminal if inside this cursor agent area, cursor uses a terminal, we want them to use our terminal. But inside this cursor with the div container, we're going to use this terminal, which is Claude Code, and which is a little bit dangerous, and therefore it's okay if it can go in YOLO mode. All right, so we're going to do again the same prompt in here. We'll say like can you please use Taskmaster and create all the subtasks based on this PRD? And then this time it will go and execute hopefully Taskmaster and not hallucinate and create its own task.json. There we go. It picked the Taskmaster CLI properly, the MCP settings. And our intention is that once it's done, then this particular command should give us an entire task list like the videos from before. So with that, I will stop this video and see you in the next one. So it is ongoing. It's very interesting. You can see that one by one, it's expanding all the tasks. It's right, there we go, it's finished. As you can see that each of these tasks are now generated in here, but what I want to show you here is that it was task number 6, task number 11, and so on. And then it created this. If we now execute taskmaster list with subtasks, you can see that it generated all of these tasks. There is like a huge amount of tasks in here. Like for example, just task number 1 has 5 items, sub items, and so is the case with 2 and so on, like Next.js, Supabase, implementation of Supabase authentication, and so on and so forth. And every single one of them have like a very detailed description in here, along with subtasks, their complexities, and so on, like the priority and the dependencies, and you can also calculate the complexity in here. So the complexity calculation is done to the main task level, which should give enough context to the LLM when it's executing all these tasks. And also it generated this JSON file in total in here. So now that we have all our tasks generated, the next step would be to start executing them. But before we actually go to the next step, it's a good practice that this is the main reason I want to use Taskmaster, because now I can get all of my tasks in this folder and also in these inside these files, like literally in this file, because they go inside my GitHub. So as soon as I do this, git cp added taskmaster, added tasks using Taskmaster, for example, you can see that now everything is inside. This was the repository, and we have just added this one. And whenever I want to go back and check something, I can go to these tasks. I have access to all of this data that I have once created. And whenever I change it, then the status goes from pending to completed and so on. So it gives me a way to control the entire workflow as it develops further down the road. So with that, we now created all the tasks. In the next video, we will start implementing all these tasks one by one using Claude Code and going in a YOLO mode, in an autonomous mode, so that cursor and Claude Code can go in autonomy and then keep implementing those features, those codes, and report to us only when the errors happen, or when the cursor or the AI agent needs our permission or our instructions. So see you in the next video.